The alarm rings, and your hand instinctively reaches for the phone before your eyes are fully open. By lunch, you have repeated dozens of tiny routines without deciding which ones deserve your attention. Habits form when the brain learns to save effort by linking a cue to a routine and a reward. Once the brain stores the loop, the behavior can start with minimal thought, even when priorities change. Autopilot can protect focus, but it can also lock in choices that quietly shape health, work, and relationships. When loops serve stress relief or quick comfort, they can pile up into constant distraction and disappointment. A meeting runs long, and you snack mindlessly, then later wonder why your energy crashes every afternoon. The pattern repeats because the cue is reliable, the routine is easy, and the reward feels immediate. In the next minutes, you will learn how loops form, how cravings fuel them, and how to redesign routines. This video is inspired by The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, and subscribe to practice these tools with future lessons. A habit loop consists of 3 parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward that teaches the brain. As the brain repeats this loop, it begins to anticipate the reward when the cue appears, causing the routine to occur more quickly. This efficiency saves mental effort for more challenging tasks, which is why habits are crucial in busy environments. The danger is that the same efficiency can maintain harmful routines even after goals and values have changed. A man who could not form new memories still walked the same neighborhood route every morning, demonstrating that the brain stores habits in a system that can operate even when conscious recall is limited. The cue was leaving home, the reward was the calm of returning, and the route became automatic. This example shows that the brain can maintain habits even when new memories are not formed. By identifying your cues and rewards, you can stop blaming character and start understanding the mechanics behind your habits. Write down one routine you repeat daily, then list the triggers and the feeling that follows it. Once you recognize the loop, you can plan changes that respect how the brain learned the pattern. Habits often run on a craving, an urge that links the cue to the reward. The brain predicts satisfaction, creating tension until the routine is completed. Cravings explain why some routines feel compulsory, even when the reward is small or fleeting. When marketers or environments attach a craving to a cue, behavior can shift from occasional to daily. Early toothpaste succeeded by making people notice film on their teeth and crave a tingling, clean sensation. The brush routine remained, but the added craving for that sensation turned brushing into a twice-daily reflex. This is why willpower alone struggles. A craving can feel like a pressing problem that must be solved now. If you change cues without addressing the craving, the old urge often searches for a new routine. Name the specific reward you anticipate, such as relief, stimulation, or connection, and separate it from the routine. Then test alternatives that deliver the same reward, so the craving no longer points to only one behavior. Changing a habit works best when you keep the cue and reward stable and swap the routine, as this protects the craving while building a new action path that satisfies the same expected payoff. This approach ensures that the loop has a new direction, making change feel less like deprivation. People often fail when they try to delete urges entirely because the brain still searches for the reward. Replacing the routine gives the loop a new direction, which makes change feel less like deprivation. An employee kept visiting the cafeteria each afternoon, thinking she wanted cookies, but she really wanted conversation. She kept the cue and reward by taking a short break with coworkers, while replacing the cookie routine. This method turns vague self-improvement into a repeatable experiment where you measure outcomes by the reward. It also reduces self-blame because lapses become data about cues and cravings rather than moral failure. Pick one habit to change and write its cue, routine, and reward, then brainstorm 3 replacement routines. If you want more habit swaps and troubleshooting guides, subscribe to follow along as each tool becomes practical. Some habits act as keystones, meaning that one change triggers other changes as daily patterns reorganize around it. The mechanism is that a keystone habit creates a new identity and a new schedule that support many routines. Keystone shifts can improve results far beyond the original goal because they change how choices are made. Organizations use them to reshape culture, and individuals use them to simplify decisions that once required constant effort. When someone builds a regular exercise routine, they often start eating better, spending less impulsively, and working more steadily. The exercise itself matters, but the larger shift is seeing evidence that change is possible through repeated, small wins. Keystone habits make the habit loop work for you, because one cue can launch a chain of constructive routines. They also make cravings easier to manage, since progress becomes its own reward and reduces the pull of old comforts. Choose one keystone habit with a clear cue, such as a fixed time, and define a routine you can repeat. Track it daily and celebrate each completion as a small win, because consistency matters more than intensity. Willpower can be trained, much like a habit, becoming easier with consistent practice. To manage temptation, plan in advance so a cue triggers a prepared routine instead of improvisation. As self-control improves, goals become more stable, as progress is no longer dependent on mood or fatigue. This is crucial in health, work, and finances, as repeated choices compound and set new baselines for behaviour. A coffee chain trained employees to picture an angry customer, then rehearse a calm script until it became automatic. That rehearsal created a routine for pressure moments, so willpower was not a heroic act in the moment. For long-term change, believe that the new routine will work, especially when stress returns. Groups provide this belief by normalizing setbacks and reinforcing identity, which helps the new habit persist. Create an if-then plan for your hardest cue and rehearse the response until it feels familiar. Pair that plan with a supportive group or accountability partner so belief stays available when motivation drops. Habits are not fate, they are learned loops that you can understand, redesign, and reinforce over time. The real leverage comes from focusing on cues, cravings, routines, and rewards, rather than relying on willpower alone. You saw how the habit loop creates autopilot, how cravings supply urgency, and how routine swaps redirect behaviour. You also saw how keystone habits spread change and how willpower grows through planning, practice, and belief. As these pieces work together, small wins accumulate and progress feels predictable rather than fragile. The payoff is steadier focus, healthier defaults, and fewer days lost to routines that no longer serve your goals. Start with one loop this week, identify its cue and reward, then test a replacement routine for 7 days. If setbacks happen, treat them as signals about cues or cravings and adjust the plan without drama. When you repeat this process, change becomes a skill that transfers from one area of life to another. For more clear habit frameworks and real-world change strategies, subscribe and keep building routines that support the life you want.